The door slammed so that the glass in the sideboard trembled. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, clutching the phone in my hands, and the screen was still glowing from the message that turned my life turned over. Sasha, I'm pregnant. This is not yours. And the signature is Lena. My Lena, the wife with whom we divided this old Kopek piece, borscht on Sundays and dreams of child, who could not have everything. And now, here it is. Just not from me. From him. From Vitka. Are you shaken? I yelled when she entered, throwing her bag on the floor. Her blonde hair was disheveled, her cheeks glowed as if after a run, and her eyes, these damn green eyes, which I once kissed in the morning, looked somewhere past me. Explain to me, Linka, what kind of crap? She froze at the threshold, her fingers nervously fiddled with her bag strap. Silence hung, as in front of a thunderstorm, heavy, stuffy. And then she exhaled, quietly, almost in a whisper I wanted to say for a long time. I just did not know how. I didn't know how. I threw the phone on the table. He tinkled, bouncing to the edge. And you knew how to sleep with Vitka, right? With my best friend, Lynn. With those who pushed toasts at our wedding. Poured about eternal love. She shuddered. She raised her chin, and some kind of mixture of guilt and stubbornness flickered in her gaze. It was not planned, Sasha. We are with him. It happened by chance. Once. After that, your booze in the country. Remember? You fell asleep, and we are with him. She hesitated. Her voice trembled. I didn't want to, accidentally. I stepped towards her, feeling the blood knocking in the temples. You are here about accidentally pouring me, and your belly is already growing from him. How much are you silent, Len? Month? 2? Or until he told you that he would leave his Natasha for your sake? Her face was skewed, as if I hit. She clenched her fists, her nails dug in her palms. I knew this habit. She always did this when she was angry or afraid. Or maybe both at once. Do not dare. She cried out. Do not dare to make a whore out of me. I did not ask for this. Clear to you? I myself was in shock when I found out. And you always disappeared somewhere at your work with these drawings. The last time you hugged me, huh? When we generally talked like people and not like neighbors. I froze. Her words, sharp like fragments of glass, crashed right into the chest. Yes, I was working on a construction site. I took overtime to pay a mortgage for this apartment so that we have a future. And she, meanwhile, with Vitka in the country, accidentally had fun. I clenched my teeth so that the jaw ached. That is, I am to blame, right? My voice became low, hoarse. I was hunchbacked so that we have everything. And you instructed me, because I brought few flowers? Are you serious, Lena? She turned away, pressing her hand to her mouth. Her shoulders trembled, either from tears or from anger. And I looked at her and did not recognize. Where's Lenka, who laughed at my stupid jokes? What did I cook my soup when I fell down after the shift? This woman in front of me, with disheveled hair, with a pale face and someone else's child inside, was a stranger, absolutely alien. Asterisk, 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 we met at the university. I, a guy from the Faculty of Architecture, and she, bright, with a smile from which my knees trembled. She loved coffee with cinnamon, hated rain, and always wore a notebook in her bag, where she wrote down her thoughts. I called her poetess. 10 years ago, we got married modestly in a small registry office, and then walked with friends until the morning. Vika was there, of course, my friend since childhood. He then hugged Lenka by the waist, winked at me. Take care of her, Sonia. Such a girl is a treasure. I and ashore, as he knew how. But the last couple of years, everything went awry. The work exhausted me. Lenka was angry that I was forever tired. We wanted the child, but the doctors only shook his hands. Try again. She cried at night, and I did not know how to console her. Maybe he really moved away, and Vitka, he was always there. He came to us with beer, poison stories, forced Lenka to laugh. I did not think that there could be something between them. He is married, his daughter is growing, and Lenka is mine, was mine. What are you going to do now? I asked when the silence became unbearable. My voice sounded dull, as if from under the ground. Will you go to him? Or what? She slowly turned to me. Her eyes shone with tears, but there was something else in them, determination, or something. I don't know, Sasha. Vitya. He said that he would figure it out. But I don't want to. I don't know what I want. She fell silent, her head bowed. I'm sorry. Sorry? I grinned, and this laughter was bitter like wormwood. You smashed my life into chips, but should I forgive you? Yes, you went Len, with your sorry. I grabbed a jacket and flew out of the apartment, slamming the door so that the plaster probably sprinkled. It was cold outside, the wind beat in the face, but I walked forward, not analyzing the road. Pictures were spinning in my head. Lenka and Vitka, their laughter in that dacha, her hand in his hand. And this child, alien child, and I stayed with nothing. 10 years, a cat under the tail. But somewhere deep inside, under all this anger and pain, the thought moved, what if I'm also to blame? What if I really missed it while building our bright future? I stopped in the middle of an empty street, put my hands in my pockets, and looked for a long time into the dark sky. There were no answers there. Only cold and silenced, I wandered down the street, not feeling either cold or damp that made my way under the jacket. The lanterns discarded long shadows, and each of them seemed to me a silhouette of Lenka, either with disheveled hair or with this her guilty look. My legs themselves brought me to Vitka's entrance. His windows on the third floor shone with warm yellow light, and I presented how he was sitting there with his daughter, playing a happy family, as if nothing had happened. It was as if I had not got into my life and did not turn everything that I built. That I took out the phone. My fingers trembled, either from anger or from frost. I dialed his number. The beeps walked for a long time, each like a blow to the nerves. Finally, a click, and his voice is such a familiar, slightly hoarse, with this eternal grin. Sonia, why are you calling such a night? Doesn't it pull to sleep? Come out, I said, and my voice was a stranger cold like steel. We need to talk. Pause. I heard him coughing, how he rustled something. He probably got up from the couch. What happened? He asked, but in the tone there was no longer that lightness. He knew. I felt. Come out, twist, or I will rise myself. And then I will tell Natasha your hello, too. He cursed into the phone, quietly, but I heard. After a couple of minutes, the door of the entrance slammed, and it appeared in the old leather jacket with disheveled dark hair, which always fell on his forehead. The face is tense, the eyes run. I would say that he was just tired after work. Now I saw only a traitor in him. Well, he stopped a couple of steps from me, put his hands in his pockets. What do you need? You slept with Lenka, I said straight, looking into his eyes. Not a question, statement. Let him try to lie. He looked away, squeezed his jaw. Silence stretched like rubber. And then he exhaled, yes. Was. Once, Sonia. I got drunk, she too. We were both not in ourselves. I did not want this. I didn't want to. I stepped closer, and he involuntarily retreated. And the child? You also did not want to, right? She told me everything, twist. About the cottage, about you. Do you even understand what you did to me? His face turned pale, but he quickly pulled himself together. He raised his eyes, and anger flashed through them. Do you think I'm glad? Do you think I dreamed of taking your linen? It was a mistake, Sonia. Error. I love Natasha. I have a family. Error. I grabbed him by the collar and pushed him to the wall. He hit his back on the brick, but did not resist. You were a friend for me for 10 years, Vitka. 10 years. And now my child is growing. You looked into my eyes, laughed with me, and behind me, I fell silent because my voice broke. My hands were shaking. I wanted to smear him so that my teeth fell out, but I restrained myself. Not out of pity, out of pride. I will not omit to him, sorry. He finally squeezed his head bowed. I don't know how to fix it. Lenka herself came to me later, said she was pregnant. I told her to talk to you to shut up. I cut off. Do not dare to call her name. You are no longer a friend to me, Vit, and not a brother. You are nobody to me. I let him go, and he settled against the wall, as if air had been released out of him. And I turned around and went away. It burned in my chest like acid, but I did not look back. Let him sit there in his shit. Let him think how to explain Natasha. The house was quiet. Lenka sat in the kitchen, in the dark. Only the light from the street lantern fell on her face through the curtain. She did not cry. She just looked into the void, clutching a mug in her hands with cool tea. I stopped at the door, not knowing what to say. Anger was still in full swing, but fatigue had already appeared under it, heavy like a concrete slab. "Where have you been?" she asked quietly, not looking at me. "Vitka," I answered. There was a conversation. She shuddered, raised her eyes. There was so much fear in them that I almost regretted her. Almost. And now? Her voice trembled, but she tried to hold on. "Will you drive me away? Or what?" I was silent for a long time. He looked at her, at these familiar features, at a mole over the eyebrow, on the thin fingers that I once kissed. And he realized that I still love her, despite everything. But forgive? It was above my strength. "I don't know, Lynn," I said finally. "I don't know what will happen to us. But as before, it will not work. Do you understand that?" She nodded, slowly, as if every movement was given to her with difficulty. And then she got up, came up to me, and suddenly hugged me, tightly, desperately, as in those days when we were happy. That I froze, feeling the warmth of her body. The smell of her hair is the same, with cinnamon and something else home. And for the first time in the evening, my eyes pinched in my eyes. "I don't want to lose you, Sasha," she whispered to my shoulder. "But I don't know how to fix it." I did not answer. He just stood and thought that our life is now like a broken cup. You can glue it, but the cracks will remain forever. And what to do with these cracks, I have not yet understood. Maybe time will tell, or maybe not. A week passed. She dragged on like eternity, full of silence and unprofitable words and views. I slept on the couch in the living room. She was in the bedroom, and every night I heard her sobs quietly into the pillow. And in the morning, we pretended that nothing was happening. I cooked coffee. She put plates on the table, and the silence between us rang like a stretched string. But that evening, something broke. That I came home from work, wet from the rain, with a buzzing head and emptiness inside. Lenka was sitting in the kitchen in an old sweater that I gave her 100 years ago, and looked out the window. There was a bowl with Olivier on the table, thereby with a finely chopped cucumber, as I love. She has not cooked it since the last New Year. I froze in the doorway, looking at her, at this stupid sweater with stretched sleeves on her pale cheeks, and suddenly realized that I could no longer like that. "Lynn," I called quietly, and my voice trembled like a kid. She turned around. Her eyes were red but dry. "Let's talk." She nodded, squeezed her lips, as if she was afraid that I was now starting to yell again. And I sat opposite, put my hands on the table, and looked at my palms for a long time, corpus callosed, cracked, as tired as I myself. "I still think," I began, and the words came out hard like stones from under the ground. "I think about us, about how we got to this, and about Vitka, and about—" I stumbled but forced myself to finish. "About the child." She strained, her fingers clenched into her fists. But I raised my hand, stopping it. "Wait. Let me say, I was angry, Len. I was angry to the devils. I wanted to tear you both, expel, forget. But then I realized that without you, I am worse than with this whole pain. You're not a stranger to me. 10 years are not just. And I don't want to lose you." Her eyes widened. Hope flickered in them, weak, like the first ray of the sun after a long night. She opened her mouth, but I interrupted again. "I'm not saying that I will forget everything. I will not forget Flax, and I don't know how I will live with it. But I'm ready to try. For us. For the sake of what we had." And I swallowed a lump in my throat. "For the sake of this child. He is not guilty. And you're still my wife." Silence, such that it was heard how the crane was dripping in the bathroom. And then she suddenly sobbed, loudly, and rushed to me across the table. She hugged so tightly and buried her face in my neck, and I felt her tears flowing on my skin. "Sasha, forgive me," she whispered. That I hugged her and pressed her to me, feeling her trembling. It was crowded in the chest, from pain, from love, from everything at once. I stroked her hair, inhaled this familiar smell of cinnamon, and thought that maybe we could really. Not immediately, not easy, but we can. "I love you too, Lynn," I said finally, and my voice was hoarse but hard. "Therefore, I forgive. But do not do it anymore, do you hear? Never." She nodded, buried in my shoulder, and we sat for so long, in the dark, among the smell of Olivier and rain outside the window. And then she raised her head, looked at me with her green eyes, and for the first time these days there was no fault in them, only warmth. and I realized that I made the right choice. Time has passed. I will not say that everything became as before. The cracks did not disappear, and sometimes I caught myself looking at her and thinking about Vitka. But I drove these thoughts away. Lenka changed. She became softer, more attentive, as if she was afraid to lose me again. And I learned to trust again, step by step. When the boy was born, I looked at him, at these tiny pins, at dark hairs, the same as Vitka's, and expected that anger would return. But she was gone. There was only tenderness and pride, because I decided that he was mine, not by blood, but in the heart that we called him a bear. And every time Lenka put him to bed and I sat next to it and listened to how she sings the lullaby, I thought that life, maybe it hits us sometimes under the breath, but we are stronger. We coped together.